Hello everybody, this is Russell Denton here with the ASCA League channel, and here we are for race number 9 of the Copperhead Amateur Series at Mid-Ohio, the first road course we've been to all season, and we are going to see which one of these drivers is going to take home the trophy at a very technical road course. But, of course, we've got to see which of the part-time drivers are going to be joining our current field of 18. We will start off with duel number 1, and led to the green flag by none other than Scott Roush, who is currently just about a dozen or so points behind Samantha Jones for the part-time points lead. We're going to see what he can do, and he's got Henry Guo, who's going to be his teammate next year, as Scott Roush will take the full-time spot. Guo will run in non-doubleheader races alongside Ryan Kendall. Constantine Jamieson getting into Jonathan Rains here and sending him on a 360. Rains piloting that 61 car today. And as a reminder, no caution flags on the road courses per ASCA League rules, so you got to be careful on those. Anthony Lopez piloting the number 18 car again this week, and he is definitely feeling all right after getting a 6th place run in his first start in the Copperhead Amateur Series. A great run for that rookie. But for today, a heartbreak for a veteran as Jake Baskinger, looking like he's going to make his first start if he can gain a couple spots, blows the motor going down the long stretch on just the second lap of this duel. And he's going to have to coast it to pit lane, and he is out of the duel. And we'll look at a couple of our new faces into this race. Ryan Reed driving the 03 that was driven by Joseph Strigley for a couple races this season. That's gonna be a ride that lasts through the rest of the season. We see Andreas Allen driving the Jones Racing Machine, number 57. Caden Gutierrez, his first attempt in the number 45 and in the Copperhead Amateur Series. And Logan Eero Anderson in the number 78, which was almost piloted to a start last week by Ryder Smith. Unfortunately finished 6th, and we're going to see how Anderson is able to fare this time around, but it is not going to be a start for the newbie. It's going to be Henry Guo, who comes around these final corners and is going to take home the victory in this duel, which will advance him to the next round, which is, of course, the main feature. Scott Roush coming in just behind him, and it looking like it's going to be a good transition for Guo, moving from Team Zygarde over to Red Stallion Racing next season. And Guo, Roush are going to be joined by Kenny Washington, Caleb Henderson, who hasn't made a start since race 2, and Carter Friesen once again in the race. Nicholas Wade just outside, as well as Anthony Lopez. Eric Van Arsdale running pretty solid today. And in the back half of the field, we see a couple of these newbies, as well as Jake Baskinger dropping all the way to 26th place. We move on to duel number 2, and we see Kevin Ulrich making the start on the pole. Gatlin Downey on his outside. We'll take you through some of the new faces in here. How about Cyrus McGee driving the number 23 today, and he will be the driver of that machine next season. He wasn't planning to run any races this year, but because the 23 didn't have a driver, they tried to get him an early start to see if he can get some experience, and that's a pretty good move on Maui Motorsports' part. Back here we also see Taylor Corbin running for his own team. Joachim Asland in the number 11. Jay Jefferson in that black car just ahead in the number 06 machine. They're all running pretty far back, which is not a surprise for a bunch of rookie drivers. Christian Parker trying to drive the Team FSR Toyota up to the front and try to make a race, which he hasn't done this season. He's believed to be moving to Maui Motorsports. Thought he was going to Pennzoil Pro Series, although it looks like that spot might be taken up by John Art, who is obviously a full-timer this year. And driver of the number 7, Bob Spoke, trying to see if he can make his way into the race. He didn't make it at it in Chicagoland. Gets a little loose off the edge of Elijah Gordon, and, well, this is not going to be a good run for the 7 cars. He drives it too far into the third to last corner, loses a couple spots. Kevin Ulrich is going to be the winner of this duel in that patriotic-looking number 6 Ford Mustang. So we take a look at the final finishing results from this duel. Kevin Ulrich mixed it in, as well as William Johnston, Gatlin Downey, Samantha Jones, and Elijah Gordon, which means all 4 Smart Motorsports machines are going to make it into the race. Johnny Gardner finishing just outside. Cyrus McGee getting a 14th place run in his first start. And even further back, you can see Megan Johnson and Nicholas Watar-Irvin mixed in with a lot of these guys that haven't been able to make races all season. And now it's time for the main event. Gonna see who's gonna be able to get ahead in this back half of the season, and Moretta Drischel is gonna be on the pole. Big bonus points for the current points leader, who's also very experienced on road courses. Castle Radcliffe on the outside, Colin Denton making his second consecutive third place start, and great starts for Knight Hoffman Racing and Smart Motorsports. 3 of those smart cars lining up in consecutive order to one another. Isaac Nichols, race 5 winner, starting in 21st, and several full-timers mixed in around Caleb Henderson, who's rounding out the field. Pace car on pit road, and they're going to see the green flag at the front of the straightaway, and we're live here at Mid-Ohio. Drischel and Radcliffe side by side going through these first couple corners. Someone's going to have to give when they get to the end of the straightaway because there's a tight turn that leads into a sand trap. But neither one of those drivers are giving because they know that passing is a rarity on this racetrack. And whoever can get out in front and get that clean air is going to be the one that gets the advantage. And still they're going side by side as they get into this corner. And there's trouble further in the back of the field. A couple cars that might have gotten into that sand trap, and the 81 car is going to clear the 5. Let's go back and check this out. Oh, and they all bunched up here. And the 14, the 22, and the 40, all full-timers looking for points. They get caught up in this one. And that is going to be very detrimental. And Eric Monaco, another front runner, heavy front-end damage, and he's going to take it down pit road to get some repairs. And that is disastrous for the number 99. Red Stallion Racing looking to back up their second place performance from last season. And definitely not going their way in the early stages of this race. Obviously, we said no caution flags. So Monaco looking like he's out of a chance early. Now looking at Kevin Ulrich, who hasn't made a start since race number 4. This is his third start of the season, and trying to see what he can do to capitalize on his Duel 2 win, and obviously doing a good job up in third right now. Looking off the front of William Johnston, his teammate, Julio Caesar, who's going to be a Pennzoil Pro Series driver next year, filling in the spot that was previously held by Daniel Voiles, who's going to be moving to Team FSR for season number 5 in the Pennzoil Pro Series. Caesar's going to be looking to make his move up to the top level. He's obviously ran for at least this full season and some of last year as well in a part-time capacity. Samantha Jones is someone that's going to move into a full-time spot for Fitzwater Australia Racing, and obviously leading the part-time point standings right now, trying to see if she can expand on that. Looking at the back of the field once again, and Patrick Curtis, one of those drivers that got caught up in the early accident, already caught back up to John Arndt, who was the last among those drivers that were not heavily involved. Could be an omen that traffic's really holding up a lot of the drivers that are trying to make their way up, because since those 3 that were kind of alone already caught up back to the end of the field, they're seemingly doing okay, but Eric Monaco definitely not in the same situation, as he quickly got the hood taken off his vehicle, still obviously running and trying to see if he can gain any points on anyone that might otherwise have a problem. James Richardson was your last week's winner at Wisconsin, his first career victory after running these past 2 seasons in the Copperhead Amateur Series. A great run for that driver. He went from having his own team, fielding Aiden Thomas in another vehicle, and finally finding some redemption with Knight Hoffman Racing to get the victory. Caleb Henderson hasn't qualified for a race since race number 2 at Atlanta. He qualified for the first 2 races of the season, and then kind of fell off from there as a lot of talent kind of overtook him, but he had a good qualifying spot to start off the duels, and now he's trying to see if he can work his way through and prove that he has a spot in this league. And we saw Alexander Rowe get off into the sand trap, and it looks like he just kind of overdrove it. Might have blocked up the brakes going into the turn. Fortunately, kept it from going even deeper. Only got passed up by one car. That's Jake Rogers. They're currently competing for 17th and 18th place in the points. Looking at Nathan Lukac, who is your race 3 winner, and he's another driver that has been up there in points. He's not having the greatest of days though right now, pretty much running mid-pack. But it could be a great day for him to capitalize on Eric Monaco's struggles, as it seems like the 99 car could be heading toward a last place finish if nothing else happens this race. And obviously not much is happening because they're mostly single file. There's passing here and there, but the opportunities are pretty slim. Castle Radcliffe, one of the Copperhead Amateur Series veterans, last year driving with Rick Racing, now known as Racetrack Racing. And he has been kind of underperforming. We kind of expected that a guy that has experience in the series would be running better in an Avalon Motorsports car, who with other drivers have shown a lot of performance, but Radcliffe well back there in points. Hopefully this second place run will do something for him. Sebastian Torres won race number 4, and he's also shown a flash of performance up in the point standings, but he's also running mid-pack, just a couple spots behind Nathan Lukac, trying to see what he can do. And Colin Denton is currently 5th in the points, and he's having one of the better days among those drivers that are higher up in points. Not exactly known for road course racing, but currently running in 4th. Must not be doing so bad. We're riding on board with him right now, and you can see just how technical this second half of the track is. Takes a lot of mental capacity to try to navigate this, and mentally and physically you have to be willing to challenge yourself to be able to run well at these racetracks. And clearly Merida Drischel is one of those drivers that knows how to get around these tracks. She is currently leading the way, and I'm kind of pulling away because she's getting further and further away from the number 21 car. Looking at the back towards Scott Roush, who is obviously a performer in this series, although in a part-time capacity, currently 2nd place in the part-time point standings. And he's trying to make his way around some traffic, but he can't find the passing zones, and this is a track that it's really hard to find those passing zones. A lot of those straightaways are the best place to make the passes, but the technical side is going to be a lot more difficult, but that's what the 37 car is trying to do. The 17 car is his teammate, that is Gatlin Downey, who's currently had a pretty significant improvement since leaving, well, I say leaving, getting dropped from Overdrive Motorsports, which really closed down. Took a ride with Avalon, then moved over to Red Stallion, made the race last week, and now trying to see what can happen this week as Downey tries to improve in points and maybe go for a part-time championship. We do not know what kind of performance we'll see out of the driver. Elijah Gordon is another one of those drivers that is looking to see if he can get further up in the part-time point standings, currently running in the 4th position. But he didn't have a great qualifying spot, and he's had to deal with a lot of traffic in getting to the front. As Drischel hits lap number 13, we'll take you to our mid-race report, and we'll see Cass Radcliffe just behind her, but Kevin Ulrich a whole 4 seconds behind both of them. And it's definitely been a dominating day for these front 2 drivers, but it all comes down to who is going to be the one that outsmarts the other, gets the strategy to take home the victory. And obviously both of these drivers want one because both of them have career best finishes of 2nd place. Radcliffe's came from last season. Drischel had that a couple of times this year, and trying to see if that is going to translate into a victory for either driver. And if it does, it's going to be their first career victory. Giovanni Barraza mentioned him earlier this season about how he was doing pretty well, and he's kind of tapered off a little bit. And he's running mid-pack right now, just as he is in the standings. Trying to see what the family organization could do, and maybe make a move into Penzo Pro Series, but that, of course, is just a rumor. Kevin Ulrich and Colin Denton are going to come down to pit lane to take their pit stop, but they're going to be the only ones on that cycle. A lot of the rest of the field's going to take it on the next lap, and Zrischel's going to beat out Radcliffe once again, as well as the two drivers that tried to go in a lap early. Doesn't look like traffic was a factor for the front two runners, and actually Barraza stayed out even longer, but he'll have to come down eventually as well. Ulrich is able to get back into position, but Colin Denton actually loses several spots on pit lane, and it's going to be a bit of a struggle for him to gain those back as he's behind Scott Roush and Samantha Jones now. Trying to see if he can gain those points. He could be in a contention spot to make a jump in the standings based on how the other competitors are running, but he definitely would have liked to get a 4th place finish or better. And there's some of his competitors, Nathan Lukac, Jeffrey Finguy, back here competing, and that's pretty much all the side-by-side racing we've been seeing today. Ooh, and Caleb Henderson getting a little loose off the corner and getting into the grass, but we mentioned it would spend single file for most of the day, and these drivers right here were side-by-side as they were fighting for position. Castle Radcliffe trying to see what he can do to get on Zrischel's tail, and obviously Radcliffe's had a not-so-great season, but trying to see if he can outsmart Zrischel, and that's really how it goes along these road courses. Who can find someone else's mistake and take advantage of it? But both of these drivers have nailed their points throughout the race, and it's hard for either of them to take advantage of one another. Looking further back in the field, and we see Henry Guo. We mentioned that he was going over to Red Stallion Racing in the off-season, and he'll run for the non-doubleheader races in Red Stallion Racing equipment. But he's had some solid runs in the Team Zygarde car that he's been running in non-doubleheader races for Webster Zygarde, who will be returning next season. Whether his CAS team will be back is still up in the air. Needs to find some drivers now that Guo is heading out. You know, the back, Alexander Rowe coming back down to earth, really, because he had gotten onto a streak of 2 top 10s, and now he's pretty much a backmarker at this point. Just a spot behind Jake Rogers, and obviously those two are kind of fighting for not being in last position in the standings. Rogers currently has that spot. And back here at the front, Zrischel looking to see if she can get that first career victory. And that would be a huge day in the points for her, because after getting the pole, running up here the entire time, the best thing that can happen at the end of this race is taking home the 45 points that comes along with a victory. And that would be a huge mark in the point standings if she's able to pull it off. But keep in mind, Radcliffe is also a veteran here and has not won either. And looking off the nose of his car, he is peeking in every single corner that he can, trying to find where he can getting into a passing zone, but he's going to have one more lap to do it. Zrischel's taking the white flag here. The 5-car trailing, trying to see if he can get his career back on track. But Zrischel has had the most success out of the drivers this season. She was the highest point standing driver of last season to return to the Copperhead Amateur Series, and definitely showing that she needs to take home this victory to prove that she has what it takes to move up, and that she will, as she's going to Double T Motorsports in the Pennzoil Pro Series next season. But coming through these final corners, Radcliffe just can't find an answer, because Zrischel in that number 81 Toyota has been on her marks this entire time. And coming through the final corner, Red Zrischel is going to take home her first career victory on the road course of Mid-Ohio. A fairly clean race, but you're going to have some of those every once in a while. But for the 81 car, she just needed to keep it on the racetrack, and that she did. Zrischel's going to extend the points lead a ton, and she is going to celebrate with a ton of burnouts. A fitting end to what has been a great day for Zrischel. We'll take a look at the final finishing results from this race. Zrischel and Radcliffe in the top two. Kevin Ulrich brings it back to third place after the early pit stop. And Richardson from last week's winner, going to take it to a 4th place run. Great backup performance. Colin Denton slips to 7th after pit stops. Julio Caesar in 9th place. He could be a contender in the standings now. At the back half of the field, Nathan Lukac, Jeffrey Fingai, guys that couldn't afford to lose points, neither could Sebastian Torres. All 3 of those guys competitors in the front of the standings, as well as Eric Monaco in last place with that damaged race car. Absolutely the worst thing that could have happened to him today, as no other car is wrecked out. And the point standings are in, and it's currently Zrichtel up front, of course, with a huge lead over 2nd place, but that is now possessed by Colin Denton. But keep in mind, between 2nd and 9th place, that's a 20-point spread. Definitely a lot of movement that could happen in the middle there, but Denton at the front, Monaco slips to 3rd, Lukac to 4th. And near the back of the field, both of the Rage-Tac racing machines. And the part-time point standings, a 9-point gap between Samantha Jones and Scott Roush. It looks like the competition for that run is going to be between them, Kevin Ulrich, making an appearance in the top 10. That'll do it from Mid-Ohio. We'll see you next week at Iowa.